You know what's so good about the next arc?
What's that?
Everything.
You were a big fan of this one.
No, I am the biggest fan of it. After, like, spoiler alert, after going through it at the end, I think it's my favorite arc so far. Even over Annie's Lobby, I think it's Impel down now. And then you were saying that
I cannot find it. I probably just lost it. But you like this more than Impel down, or more than Annie's Lobby. Sorry.
Yeah, I freaking love it. It's got it all.
Our editor Cricket in chat saying big win for us queers.
Yeah, there you go. That's what it's all about.
Can we immediately get into what's so cool about this arc with how you've been looking at the series and why this has changed how we have to look at the Sun God? Because I think this arc highlights how Oda writes mythology and the weird way he makes things literal and figurative at the same time, literal and symbolic at the same time.
Can we actually start that though? Because we would have to skip ahead to things that happen further down the line.
I feel like we kind of either got to do it right at the beginning or save it for the end. And I kind of feel like we can get into better discussions throughout if we at least mention it at the beginning, because everyone's read it. I think it is a good thing to start with.
Okay, in that case, let me just quickly mention, we found out that we angered the King of the Sea, and that's what Garp calls Whitebeard.
Oh yeah,
so we found out
pissed off
Whitebeard, the King of the Sea. So I think that's a very important thing to know. And then the other thing is, I've been asking this for a while, but I don't know if I asked it online or if you and I are the only ones who had the conversation about who Luffy's mom is and who Ace's mom is and why the moms aren't being mentioned. I know that Oda likes to just kill moms, but I'm like, where are these moms? And then Ace is like, I owe the name Portgas a great debt. I got it from my mother. I cannot wait to meet Ace's mom because we're meeting her for sure.
Okay. Prediction, we meet Ace's mom.
Yeah, and she's, I don't know when.
Do we need the Straw Hats to meet her? Do we just need the reader to meet her? Does a flashback count? These are important criteria.
Oh, we just need her to be in the manga.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very important. I know everybody thinks Crocodile Mom. I already talked
We've talked about the Croco Mom theory. Guys, the crocodile is a trans man theory makes so much sense. Crocodile is Luffy's mom is insane. It is cracked out.
I don't even know if Luffy and Ace have the same mom. Do we know that?
It hasn't been confirmed.
Interesting. So, Drock and I were talking. There's some areas in here where I have some gold stars and we decided shooting stars?
Yeah, shooting stars is the prediction we're going to use for something that you have that's a regular quality prediction, but from a long distance called shot.
Yeah, like the one that I made about Buggy and Luffy fighting together one day.
Yeah.
Was my fourth prediction I ever made.
It was an episode 1 prediction.
Yeah.
So whatever a shooting star means is up to Cricket, because Cricket's editing this one. So Cricket, a shooting star is happening right now. Thank you. Thank you so much, man. Okay, so let's talk about the interplay between literal and symbolism real quick before we get into it.
And let's talk about it right away with the Mizu.
Ooh, with Izunami.
Mizu. With the...
Oh, the bull. Okay, let's save the Izunami talk then.
Yeah. So in Japanese Buddhism, there's Gozu, and I think it's Gozu who I'm thinking of. Gozu and Mizu, who are a horse head and a bull head, who in Buddhism kind of rule the underworld portion of Buddhism. Yeah. And I said to Drop when I was reading in the one before, interestingly, there's this and this symbol, and I'm wondering if they're going to become a thing. We get into Impel down, we turn the page, and there's a great big bullhead standing there ruling over the prison, who is obviously the Gozu. And so I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. So right away, I knew that this place obviously represents, since we have so many deep layers and it goes down in layers, we all know it represents Dante's Inferno. And then because it has characters from literally I found 4 or 5 different religious symbols in here. So because of that, we were like, okay, so you've got your
bet
Buddhism.
If I knew more about Zoroastrianism, we could get another one in.
I would agree. And so they have all these different symbols and layers. And then the very first thing they talk to Boa about is, and in here we have the place that we clean them of things that is that is just a medium lukewarm bath. And I was like, yeah, because they start the journey down into hell in an area that is neither hot nor cold nor anything because it's limbo. And then you're like, well, this is such a bizarre interpretation of this area. And then I realized, yeah, this is just hell. This is how Oda has decided he's going to do hell. So all of the symbolism and all the talking that I've been doing about who's guarding hell and what does hell look like, all of the different symbolisms and things that I've been talking about, if it had to do with hell, this is where it comes from. This is where all of that stuff comes from. And so I was like, shit. So if I'm going to see anything that has to do with Izanami and a guardian or the queen of hell, it's going to come in here. And then I was like, how is the queen of hell going to be in this place? And I said to Drock, this has to have the queen of hell in it. And he's like, uh-huh. And I was like, unless that I was wrong and there isn't going to be a symbolism.
I played along with it like, yeah, I mean, it couldn't be Sadie, right? That doesn't fit Izanami. Let me know if you find someone you think might be the queen of the underworld. Let me know if you happen to see someone.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I hope I was right. I said it would be really weird for me if I didn't get to see a queen of hell because I really feel like it has to exist given the way that he's been using his using all of his mythology. It doesn't make any sense. And yeah, we met the queen of hell.
Oh boy, howdy did we.
It's being drawn right now. So you got everything from Hannibal, who kind of looks like a person, and we know that his name comes from multiple places, and he definitely has the Egyptian vibe, and he comes off as being so many different things, and he's like, welcome to my Impel Down. You've got everything in here, all these different
Magellan
layers.
Is Nazi Satan.
Oh, God, yeah. Which we're going to get to later on when we go into our secret spot again. And so when we were going into Impel Down, I immediately was like, oh my God, I am going to love this one.
The idea of it being both a literal and a symbol, and why this is making you question anything, is because, like, Oda, I think, makes clear in Thriller Bark, and he makes clear in this, that he doesn't want an underworld that is a physical place we can go to. He doesn't want us to be able to bring back dead people. He wants dead people to stay dead. That's important to the story, because the theme of you only die when you're forgotten doesn't really work as well. It's not as powerful if people can literally come back to life. So zombies aren't the person they were. They are a puppeted body. And the underworld is not an actual underworld. But because he uses mythology for so much reference, he needs there to be an underworld that's a physical place, because going to the underworld is integral to mythology. So how does he solve it? He has a place that is literally an underworld. No one escapes. No one comes back. Pirates are sent there. The damned are trapped there. And it's entirely themed after the underworld. But everyone is literally still alive. So it manages to be literally the underworld and also only symbolically the underworld at the same time. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and Brook doesn't count in that way because Brook ate the revive fruit. So Brook is going to be able to come back because of a devil fruit, which is one single type of exception. And then it ends up biting him in the ass, which is almost like Oda's way of saying, like, well, you shouldn't try to come back. People should stay dead. So it was very interesting to me. And so when everyone talks about this place, it's so cool because you're right. He's able to bridge these two ideas of both having an underworld and not ever seeing the underworld. And so I knew we had to meet the queen of the underworld here, and I was not disappointed.
We certainly meet the queen of the underworld.
But then we have Luffy hanging out, and he's like, what are the chances of meeting in here? Brother, blah, blah, blah. And then, boom, what's that? Hey, brother, run, or you'll get killed. I've been cut in half. It's hard to run. What are these things? And then he looks at him. Straw Hat, what are you doing here? Buggy. So this is the first star, and that is, we already talked about, that one is going to be a shooting star.
I think you also get you kind of get 2 because you predicted Buggy would go to the Grand Line. Although, I think this is a Shroom Star because you predicted Buggy would choose to go to the Grand Line, which sort of happened and sort of didn't. No, wait, he did choose. I think he got arrested in the Grand Line. I think he followed with the Grand Line.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, you get 2 shooting stars here.
I get 2 gold stars here. And so
you predicted Mr. 3 would come back too.
Yes, I did. Holy crap, actually, I have so many predictions in this area. I love Buggy's hair in here because Buggy's hair freaked me out in the old one.
Buggy has a glow up in this arc.
He looks wicked. And my very favorite page, and the one where I realized, hey, I predicted this, is we'll change the mission from sneaky to flashy. Sounds good to me. And boom, off they go. And the 2 of them are fighting side by side. I was so freaking here for this. It was so good. I couldn't believe how excited I was to see Buggy. I don't know if I loved Buggy as much by the end, but in this time when we're going through and they're defeating them together, and he's helping us to see how much Luffy has changed, because we're seeing Luffy's change through the eyes of Buggy. It really helps us to know how much Luffy has gone through and how different he is than he used to be. And I think that's really important too. When you put characters in from the past and they are able to articulate for us like, holy shit, this isn't even the same person anymore. That really, really helps us to remind ourselves how far Luffy has come and how much that character has grown. So I thought that was amazing. And I loved that Buggy was kind of our narrator of what Impel Down looked like, because you kind of need somebody who can tell you, oh, well, down in level 4, you're tortured. In this level, this will happen. So he gives an overview. Who better than Buggy? Great imagination, PS. Like the forest inside the prison that was all glass and cutting everyone open. Like, this is a horrific place. He really did create a perfect hell. And then they jump down, and then who's there?
I'm too tired to be afraid anymore. I don't even care. I'm going to be there dinner sooner or later. It might as well be today, I suppose. Oh.
And we got Mr. 3. And I was like, oh, are we having a reunion?
It's a reunion episode.
Spoiler alert, it is a reunion episode. High five, everyone. Because Mr. 3 is way cooler in this than he was in his own. Because you know that I wasn't a huge fan of Wax. I knew we'd see him again. Oh, so that's another gold star then.
Yeah, because you did predict he would come back.
Gold star, Mr. 3. But I was really glad to have him back, and I really like the idea of Buggy and him kind of creating their own little tete-a-tete with each other.
Yep.
And Ward of Magellan, I can't even with that dude.
I love his
dude
bit.
Is terrifying.
He's scary as hell.
Oh.
I love that he's competent and terrifying and driven and no nonsense and spends most of his waking hours shitting. And people mistake this, that his fruit does this to him. No. What it is that he wants to flex that he can eat poisonous shit because he's immune to poison because of his fruit. So he eats poisonous shit, being like, look at me, I can eat poison. But it's not edible, so it fucks up his digestion and gives him horrible IBS. And everyone's like, my guy, you could just not eat poison. And he goes, but I can eat poison.
Yeah, I'm with Beige that I think that Magellan scares me more than any other thing we've come against. And I don't know if I'll feel that way in the future, but I have never seen anything that I was more like, oh, this is a real terrifying dude. Luffy using his powers and having both number 3 and Buggy being like,
damn, you got a lot stronger, didn't you, kid?
Was like, oh, I love this so much. But as soon as you meet old Jim, and people were like, what do you think of old, well, I think they said Jimbei. What do you think of old Jim, mama? And I was like, his very first meeting of him, this is what you get. So let me read this to you, because I was like, what can you possibly do but love this man? It's not my flesh that hurts, because I'm not able to do what's right. It's my heart, Ace. But Jimbei, I can't die yet. I don't care if I'm one of the 7 warlords. That means nothing to me. But I'd gladly give my life up to stop this war. Damn! That's your very first meeting of this giant ass awesome dude. Oh, I loved him immediately. And then what happens right away? freaking Ace starts talking up Luffy and just absolutely standing for him, being like, you know, because Jim is giving us all the background of everything that happened and how they've been overwhelmed and how he fought with Whitebeard and how Whitebeard came in and was like, this is my territory now, which is incredible. Because even though it's kind of colonial, and you and I were talking about this, and I was saying it's something that we've done with indigenous people, is you come in and we're like, I'm saving your land and turning it into a federal park. And you're like, yeah, that's really helpful. A thresher shark fishman when he's a whale shark fishman.
You do get a mushroom because you said he'd be a thresher shark. That's true.
Yeah, that's not a big deal. I'm okay with that. And so when people just take over and turn things into parks and other things, it's not really saving you. But in this case, what else could happen? Everybody was coming in and fishermen were being captured and sold off and mermaids were being stolen. And in comes Whitebeard and is like, no, screw you all. This is my territory. And if you come in here, then I will murder you. And gave the fishmen some safety. And so it is such a great feeling to feel like we can cheer for Whitebeard, because Whitebeard gives off such a what's the energy I'm thinking of here? Murdery. Such a murdery energy.
The word I thought was paternal, which is very different than murdery.
Murdery energy. When you see him and he's like, don't F up, red-haired Shanks, or I'll kill you. Don't do this or I'll fight you down and you'll be dead. And you're like, damn. And yet you see time and time again how he has this. And so it's paternalism and it's a paternal father-like figure, which is why it's interesting that I both love and dislike that he said anyone who comes into this area will be killed, because it's not raising the fishermen up, right? Like the fishermen don't have sovereignty or agency or freedom in any way. All he did is stop them from going in that territory. So he did do this thing, but the job isn't done, which is why I now know that Luffy's work is going to act to give freedom and equity to the fishman race. Because something was started with Whitebeard, where Whitebeard is helping to save them and make it so people can't come in. So in order to stop this genocide of the fish people and the fish people being treated the way that they're being treated, I think that's going to be something that Luffy picks the mantle up of.
Okay.
Yeah. Must pick the mantle up of. And then...
So I guess that's a prediction that Luffy will protect Fishman Island in a more complete way.
Yeah, I think he's going to help to give them more agency, to actually give them some freedom. I don't know if it's going to be just the kicking of the ass of the pieces of crap drags, or if it's going to be something else, but 100%, Luffy is going to pick that mantle up and he's going to work on a more complete freedom for the fish people. Because right now, like, just saying to people like, you're safe if you stay in this area. Well, that's like saying it's kind of like a concentration camp now. You know what I mean? So now you're like, as long as you stay in here, you have our protection. But if you leave these boundaries, you're fair game and you're going to be stolen and you're going to be put into slavery and all these things are going to happen to you. Well, that's not freedom. That's not protected. So he did what he could do when he did it, period. And yeah, that's what he did. But that's not freedom. They're in a camp, and that's not enough. So I think now Luffy is going to pick the mantle up from here.
All right.
And that's what I'm excited about. Because once Luffy likes somebody, he's like, it harkens back to the beginning chapters when Red Hair Shanks was like, yeah, but now you've hurt a friend of mine, so now I'm going to have to kick the living crap out of you and kill your whole crew and find all your family. Luffy, once somebody is their friend, they're his friend, and he will work his ass off to take them away from oppression. And so I thought this was, what an introduction to somebody. And it's also so cool that we're in a prison, because we have this huge juxtaposition between soft, quiet moments where two people are talking in a prison cell and these rambunctious, insane moments. So it's such good foil for each other, because you go between these like these huge times where it's like everybody is running, doors are flying open, things are chasing them, monsters are coming out, the action is palpable, and then all of a sudden you're sitting in a cell and it's the last moments of somebody who knows that they are up for execution hearing this incredible story. And so it's so cool that they went back and forth. And you have it exactly right, Weibo. The pacing is addicting. I could not stop. I started to read this because Drock said, feel free to read a little bit of Impel Down. I don't think it's a big deal if you read a bit now. And once I got into Impel Down, it was like I could not turn the pages quick enough. I needed to go. I needed to see what was next. And I could not get enough of this. Absolutely an addictive, shattering pace. But it wouldn't have been good unless every once in a while you'd had a slow, quiet moment where old Jim is talking to Ace, or something small and quiet is happening over to the side, even if it's something with stress, just to stop it from being move. And I think it was really genius writing.
It's really well handled.
You got a Sphinx guards. Oh, we're back into a little bit of Egyptian lore again. And then somebody says, Amen. It's praying. Oh, it's so cool because he keeps trying to highlight that we're looking at different religions, and he does it in a whole bunch of different ways. It's amazing. I like that they decided to open up all the different cells and just allow everybody to come out, because that's exactly what I told you when I started to read. I was like, they have to get all the cells opened up because they have to create as much kerfuffle as possible in order to get out of there, because otherwise they're screwed.
Buggy and Mr. 3 are so perfectly built with their devil fruits for a prison break.
Exactly. This is where I was super, super happy. And this is where I could see why you thought that Garp didn't suck.
Yeah.
Even if we take into account the escape of the Golden Line, the pirate that could fly, that was still 20 years ago. Oh, P.S. I think we're going to meet the Golden Line.
So here's the thing. I don't think I want to make this a prediction, because at this point, people who are readers kind of knew that we weren't going to, because he is a figure of lore. I mean, if you mean meet, he'll be in the manga. That could happen. But as far as actually meet the Straw Hats meeting him, he was the subject of a non-canon movie. And because of that, probably the Straw Hats aren't going to interact with him.
Yeah, I mean like in the manga.
Okay.
That we're going to find out about.
Then we can make that a prediction.
Mm-hmm. That was still 20 years ago.
It is canon, yeah.
Out of hundreds of thousands of pirates, no one else has ever been able to break in or out throughout history. The great prison Impel Down has been impregnable for all of these years. And the first person to ever break in and ruin its reputation is your grandson, Garp. I'm so proud of that boy. He's great.
Yep. I love Garp being like, look, if my kid's gonna be a pirate, he'd better be the best pirate. He'd better do things that no one else has ever done. Way to go, champ.
Yeah, he's a shit grandfather, but this moment was pretty damn good. I also like that in this one, I think one of the reasons that the action moves so quickly is they get caught in a net that should be able to just take them down and blah, blah, blah. And then instead, the goofy Sphinx dude just rips through it on its way to attack them. And I like that they don't waste time in this. And that's what we were talking about earlier with the addicting pace, that it actually feels like we're not going to waste time trying to figure out how to get out of the goddamn net for the next 15,000 chapters. And then they're like, oh, we finally did it. And at the last second, he's just like, nope. Giant beast through the net, done, moving on. And so it had that kind of a pace to it. And I think it's because of things like that within this arc that it felt like we were on a run. Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
This world was made for men and women. But when you're me, you're both man and woman. That's why I'm the strongest. Oh, come Woohoo! Bonchan the goat! My God.
Bonchan is here.
Him coming back in here, oh God, it was
I made you stay on the phone to read the rest of that chapter so that I could hear your reaction to Bon re-enter the picture.
That's a gold star. That's a gold star. I said that number 2 would come back.
You did? You said Mr. 2 Bonclay, whatever. Mr. 2 would come back, and he here. It's Bonclay time.
Oh, I was so excited to see him. I just feel like he's got the love, man. And when I saw him again, I was like, oh my God, you and Luffy are going to get to hang out together. I'm so happy. They're going to be best friends forever. Spoiler alert, they're not.
Crazy.
Oh.
This is one where the
so
top 5 is
sad.
going to be a lot harder, huh?
Oh my God, top 5 in this one is going to be so hard. I never even thought about that.
There's a
I'm
good few
excited about
characters
Michael
who
Jarvis.
kind of kick ass.
Gonna need a top 10 for Impel down. Oh,
No, it's top 5. Sorry. Tradition's tradition.
okay.
Hey, don't worry. Next arc will be harder.
Okay, here we go.
Sorry about the dog. Rumor's a little louder than Bellamy.
I liked Sadie. I mean, I know that she's supposed to be a,
She's a succubus.
yeah, but she's whatever.
Her name literally is just sadist. Like, that's why that's her name.
Yep. It's fine. Miss Sadie the Torturer, she's sadist. I mean, she's hot, but my favorite. I think they could have done more with her character.
Fair. Look, I think enough was done in that really you just needed a torturer.
I think there was just no room for it because, yeah, you've got so much going on. Like, how are you going to spend so much time dealing with her and making her cooler? I love that as soon as everybody's back was turned, my girl Boa gave Ace the message that he needed, but it did crush Ace's heart to find out that his little brother, he worries about all the time, was down there with him. That was hard. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
She said, my little brother is here. Is he the boy with the straw hat you're always talking about? Who's so foolhardy? Oh, crushing to my soul. I forgot how cool number 2 was too, and that he could bring up everybody's face. So when I first saw Sanji, I was like, Sanji? And then I was like, all right, Mr. 2. I'm really glad that we got to see him. Long time no see. It's me, Straw Boy. Bon Clay, I was so disappointed because you weren't Zoro, but then you're alive.
Did you call Zoro Sanji again?
What?
Or was it actually Sanji's face?
Me. Oh, and I finally got to see the cute thumbnail of Mr. 2 doing like his leg flipped in the air and Luffy doing it and them crying and hugging. I've seen that on the things where it's like...
the thumbnail that kept being recommended to you.
Yeah, and so I was like, oh, I finally saw it. And I loved how much Mr. 2's makeup kind of matched up to Ivan's in a way. Like they had the same kind of eyes going on. I thought that was amazing because it was his hero, and I think that's pretty cool that they did that. I've decided that the Minotaur Jailer Beast is kind of our horse one, either that or the Zebra is the horse one. So it was really cool to see all these different things come out from Buddhism within here as well.
And what's the koala?
I looked. There's a whole bunch of animals that it could be. There's a bear one that does a guarding of hell.
Oh, that kind of makes sense, actually. That's a funny way to do a bear.
Yeah, and I was like...
Keep a bear fruit for later if you want to.
Yeah, and they do have Hinduism in here as well. Yeah, it's pretty incredible how many religions he managed to toss into this hell, because he just keeps putting different things in here that even if it's just a little tiny little piece, I kept being like, oh, is this from this? Oh, is this from this? It was bringing me back to teaching grade 8 religions. And I was like, oh, this is so well done. It's so well constructed that you could actually just spend an entire frickin' arc doing this for 4 hours, no problem. That was my only thing that I was upset about when we were doing this, because I was like, I gotta race through this, and I'm gonna race through it to make sure I do, but I'm gonna stop on parts that I think are super important to give more to.
All right, let's race.
Moving ahead as fast as possible. Luffy, don't come here. It's too late, Ace. I don't know what to tell you, but also, Ace, you're breaking my heart.
Yeah, Ace, I don't know if you know this, but your brother's a dumbass.
I don't know if you've met him.
He just does stuff.
I love the Fire Inferno level 4, the big pot of boiling blood. Jesus God. He put some dark ass shit in here. Does Bones, aka Mr. 1, being in here? They round them all up.
Yeah, Baroque Works got.
Oh my God. So what do we know about the Mino the rhinoceros and the Mino koala, Mino zebra? What do we know about their type of
Literally,
animals.
all we know is they're called awakened zones. That's what you know.
And we don't know anything about what that is, because
No.
I was like, what the hell is an awakened zone?
Literally, that's it. We know that a zoan is an animal fruit. It's a fruit that turns into an animal.
Yeah. And how are they awakened zone?
That's it. That's all you know. I listed the info you have.
Because our little weirdo boy with the giraffe, because he loves giraffes.
Yep.
He is able to think and talk and hang out. These don't look awake. Like, I'm looking at them. Every one of them has.
That is interesting that you say that, because every zoan we've seen so far has complete consciousness while they're doing their thing.
Exactly.
And these are called awakened zoans, and they are mindless monsters.
Yeah, they seem to be mindless. Their noses are dripping all over the place. It looks like they need help crossing the street.
Yet they're incredibly strong and tough and durable.
And yet they are awakened.
Yeah, they're
somehow.
the awakened ones.
Yeah, I don't feel good about that.
Well, I mean, what do you want from me? That's the truth. They're awakened. Now, there's only one other zoan user who sometimes acts mindlessly that we've seen. And these boys are very strong and tough and durable and powerful and everything, and mindless.
Mindless? Are you talking about our baby Chopper?
Yeah, Chopper's the only other zoan we've seen. There was a theory that popped up immediately that whatever awakened is, Chopper is able to do it with his drugs, and that's what Monster Point is. Because people were like, well, look, he's big and strong and tough and mindless in his form, just like these guys are.
Interesting. I was kind of like taken aback when we get to this part and all of a sudden Luffy is being drowned in a tidal wave of poison, because I was like,
not great when that happens to your protagonist.
Doesn't feel like your protagonist can do much when they're swamped in poison.
Yep.
And then Mr. 2 runs away, and I just have faith in Mr. 2. I immediately was like, no big deal. The reason that Mr. 2 is doing that is because he's going to come back and help my Luffy. And he did. He was all like, don't you worry, Straw Hat. And he even says here, Magellan is a man who can control the world's most dangerous prisoners. He's the master of hell. Make your choice now, Bon Clay. You have to run, Bon Clay, or you can't win. The odds are against you. I gotta run. I'm sorry, Straw Boy. But then as soon as everybody was out of the way and Luffy was all laying on the ground doing the dying, our boy came back. Because he is the goodest boy.
Your boy is here
ever.
To save Straw Boy.
He was so much stronger than I thought. Blah! And they're all crying, and Luffy's laying on the ground. He does do some pretty good damage prior to getting, poisoned.
Uh-huh.
He does some pretty good damage, but the other picture that I was thinking of getting you to draw was the one where Magellan is standing over top of dying poisoned Luffy.
It's pretty intimidating. Magellan is just so goddamn scary.
This is your punishment, intruder. You will suffer for 24 hours, and then you will go to hell. Damn. And what does Luffy do? He just screams from the ground, Ace! Oh, heart-wrenching. That was heart-wrenching. Okay, now, when he comes back, he says, I've got to get out of here right now, blah, 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 blah. You've escaped the torture. There's only one more thing to do, and I have to save my Straw Boy. Save him? He got drenched in Magellan's poison. And then he says all these things, and then he goes, because he's my friend. That's all the reason I need, he screams. And I just got it. That is so good. Because it's so Luffy. And so you can see, just like we saw when we first met number 2 in Alabasta, or when we very first met him out on the boat, that he has that same deep need to actually be this loving friend. Like, friendship comes above all. So it made me wonder if people who are fans of One Piece treat their friends differently and try to have these deeper friendships. Because they're reading something where being a friend and the strength of friendship is a power in itself. There's devil fruit, there's bodybuilding and strengthening, there's haki, and then there's friendship. And friendship is a type of power.
I think some people for sure, but I do think a lot of people read this series to be like, man, I love the punch fighting these pirates do.
Wow. Okay, we're getting to my very favorite part.
Yes.
If I'm going to be honest with you, it was just hard to concentrate because I just wanted to get to my very favorite part. So we see the frozen area, and Luffy has been picked up, and Bon Clay is, Straw Boy, I have come to save you in the name of friendship. Forgive me for running away back there. And he grabs him and picks him up and drags him. The keys he left are these keys here. I never even thought about breaking out before now. And he drags Luffy through, going to the area where he was told the demon's invitation. What's that? Iva couldn't have been defeated by something as iffy as that. That's ridiculous. I've never met him, but people say he's performed countless miracles, and I still believe in his miracles here. When he takes them in here and he goes, he's the god, which is interesting because I talked about Izanami being a god of the underworld, a queen and god of the underworld. And here, Bond number 2 says he's the god of the queen of the queen world. And I was like, thank you. So he confirmed the idea, and this is when we started to say, like, I have to change, because I told you before I was struggling with how to determine how Oda would do things. And seeing the way that he did him here and in a couple of other places, I'm like, okay, I see you, and I'm hoping I can get into your groove and figure you out now, because you have taken the character of Izanami and you have turned them into a literal drag queen.
Yep. The drag queen of the underworld.
And he's now the drag queen of the underworld.
Yep.
And a god. So it fits all the characteristics that I would need for there being an Izanami character, queen of the underworld, but just done in a way
we should add clarity for people who haven't been in the loop with all your predictions. But Izanami was one of the main things you've been talking about, because you've been talking about the idea of Japanese mythology playing a role, and Izanami is one of the original highest deities who was trapped in the underworld. And we enter the underworld and we find here the queen of the underworld, revered as a god by her people.
Exactly. And so this was, for me, like the greatest thing ever. And number 2 fights his ass off and almost dies from the wolves. And his last thoughts are of Luffy. And then the next thing that we see is, what is the person called?
Which person?
Who finds them? The one who has the name of, let me get there. The one who has the same name is almost as Izanami.
Yeah, I can't remember. Inazuma?
I'll find it. Yeah. It is Inazuma, which is more attached to the name like Izanami. So it's like he was trying to give us kind of a signpost without actually saying it. So when we go into this place in the underworld, sometime later, he wakes up. Oh, you're finally awake, brother. You were out for a long time. Come have drinks with me. What is this place? Have a seat. Which floor did you come from? Where am I? Where's the Straw Hat Boy? We have plenty of food here. And you walk in and there's just everyone everywhere dressed in the most outrageously awesome ways, partying and having fun and staring at him. And he does this spin and he's like, you're all wearing nice clothes. You're drinking delicious food. You're drinking booze. Is this paradise? And then Inazuma says, you're finally awake. You slept a long time, 10 hours or so. And I was watching this entire thing and I was having this feeling about it. And it was not until he said, did you sleep well, Candy Boy? I mean, Mr. Two Bomb Boy. And as soon as Ivan started dancing, I know that everyone thinks of this as being the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And I would agree 100,000% that Ivan's character is definitely built around the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Mm-hmm. But the actual vibe of this place is not Rocky Horror Picture Show.
It was something I didn't know existed. So get ready for education, lots of people.
So the Rocky Horror Picture Show is like 2 people who are coming up to a home, and then there's all these different kind of weirdo types of people, and it's awesome. And it became a real big deal, I think in 1973. But just prior to that, there was actually a different show, and I think that it would have had a huge influence on this, and that was Cabaret.
Life is a cabaret, oh chum. Come to the cabaret.
So the reason that Cabaret is really important in this piece, I'm just trying to find my place with Cabaret in here. And the reason that Cabaret is really important in this piece is that Cabaret is a story that was made by a author in taking place in, I believe, I want to say it's 1939.
Yeah, it was pre-Nazi Germany.
Yeah, but it was just as Nazi Germany was rising. And it was the story of Nazi Germany rising up and using the quote unquote deviance of these people in this cabaret club in this jazz time era. And it was using the deviance as an excuse to push its fascist agenda. And then when you look at the way that some of the guards and people have that symbol that Oda made for them, that's Impel down, the I and the M from, or the I and the D from Impel down, that he's turned into his own kind of version of a swastika. And he's given a bunch of different people in an Impel down, like a feeling of almost being Nazi military. And
Magellan just looks like Nazi Satan.
It does look like Nazi Satan. But there's some people who still have those kind of outfits, and it looks like Nazi outfits in their own way. And so when you're looking at this, the cabaret is in the middle of Impel Down, and they're all partying and having this world that's taking place, and all around them are these people who have imprisoned the deviants, quote unquote. But the deviants have found a way to live in their own great life with their own levels of power, their own methods of finding happiness. So at the same time, it's also a way of looking at how queer people in general have had to find a way to make their own worlds, their own paradise within hell. So there's multiple things layered in here, because in the midst of what is a version of hell to Oda, Impel Down is hell. The queer folk have found a way to have a secret underground society where they're able to eke out power, happiness, and be who they are and live out loud. And it is a queer joy revolution, like this person was talking about, in the middle of hell. Well, that talks about society. For years and years, people who are queer have had to kind of move around society's whims. Because something that's important to note is that prior to World War II, in Germany, there was a massive uprising, especially in places of Berlin, of people living very out loud being queer. There were lesbian bars, there were gay bars, there were places like this cabaret where people just lived as themselves. And the Nazi military also hated queer people and used it as an excuse to push their agenda, talking about how these people are ruining it for decent people. So it's fascinating that Oda put this in here and then gave himself all these people who look like Nazi Germany people as a way of showing that that's kind of one of the things that is going on inside of here. So it's so layered. It's so cool. I could not have been here for it enough. The other thing is that it was really interesting that Oda then chose to use the Rocky Horror Picture Show kind of mystique, because it's a halfway between both of them. If you look at Cabaret, there's all of these types of outfits, and the Rocky Horror Picture Show came out after the Cabaret, and so you can see the influence. They were contemporaries of each other, and you can see how the Rocky Horror Picture Show was informed by Cabaret. So I adored this because Oda was able to put in all these symbols that we otherwise might not have noticed about how the government acts in a Nazi way, that they pick up anyone from around the world that One Piece takes place in, and they say, this person is bad because they dress in this way and they use hormones and they change people's sexes and they do this and this. This person is a deviant and shouldn't be in this world because I don't like the way they do this and this. And where do they end up? In hell. And yet tons of them find their way in hell to somehow disappear still be stuck inside of this hell, but eke out a place in which to live a real life. Blew my mind. It blew my damn mind. And I was like, this is absolute gold. I could not be more impressed with you. So I love it.
Hell yeah.
And then when you looked at the beginning of Cabaret, the very first song in Cabaret is Velkommen, and it's this whole amazing song where he's going off and saying things like, outside it is winter, and you remember when they dragged him through the wintry forest, and they were taking Luffy through the wintry forest. Outside it is winter, but in here it's so hot. Every night we have to battle with the girls to keep from taking off their clothing. So don't go away. Who knows? Tonight we might lose the battle. That's one of the lyrics inside of the song Velkommen from the show Cabaret, which was first a book, then a Broadway musical, and then a movie. And so then there's another one later on in a different song from Cabaret, for the sun will rise and the moon will set, and learn how to settle for what you get. It will all go on if we're here or not. So who cares? So what? Who cares? So what? For the sun will rise, boom, up comes Luffy the god, and the moon will set, down goes the government. And you'll learn how to settle for what we get. So at the end of this thing, you might not like what we get. And folks, I don't think all of you are going to, because spoiler alert, Luffy's gonna probably die. When I'm reading this and looking at this and the way that he has put these things in, saying, yeah, like the sun is gonna rise and the moon is gonna set, but you are gonna have to settle for what you get. Because in this one, they take away some of Luffy's life. Every time Luffy goes into Gear 2, he takes away some of his life. And so when you're seeing all these things that are eating up Luffy's life, you know that there's no way that they can keep him alive in the end. And that makes it even more ridiculously upsetting that Drock says a man only dies when he's forgotten. Because you know that Luffy is going through all of these things, and then in the end, when he passes away, he's going to do it in a way where he's never forgotten. I mean, Oda has immortalized him in our world and this world. And so he would never be forgotten. So he would never actually be dead.
I mean,
and so I think that this is kind of a little, hey guys, he's not going to be here.
I just want to go to something there, because people earlier were reacting to you talking about how One Piece affects how you see friendship, and how I do think there's a lot of people who read One Piece badly and their takeaway is it's fun when the pirates punch each other, and like people who are here to power scale and nothing else, and there's no thematic enjoyment. However, a lot of people were saying in chat that One Piece has made me a better person. One Piece has made me self-reflect about how I treat people, specifically Luffy. And so many people, when you said that, brought up Luffy specifically as affecting how they see the world. Luffy won't die, because I think of myself, I have genuinely been changed as a person. I feel like I have so many of my best qualities have been made better by Luffy as a character. Him, the fictional character, has helped me, the real flesh and blood man. And no, I think it only makes sense that Luffy dies at the end of the series, but he won't really die, because how could a character be forgotten who has affected the world so much and affected so many people? And Ron Quixote Dill saying you don't think he's going to die at the end of the series, I need to tell you, just look at any of the evidence. You're allowed to think what you want, but just briefly, he ends the prologue of the series by going to the platform where the man whose will he carries died, and he is about to be executed before his father saves him with what looks like divine providence and says his story does not end yet.
Yeah.
That is about as much of a statement of a character's fate as you can have.
This is just, this arc, these two arcs put together, they're brilliant. These were some of the most brilliant pieces of writing I have ever seen. He and I've loved his work this whole time, and it gets better every time. But when I was reading this, these two arcs together, I was just like, holy shit, man. You have layered upon layered upon layered here. You have made all these questions. You have given voice to queer audiences. You've shown that queerness was acceptable and normal and part of life at different parts of history, because in different parts of history, queerness was just accepted as a fact. And so one of the things that I think everybody should know about Cabaret, the most important part, in my opinion, is that when the author wrote it, he knew about the Nazi uprising and how they were gaining more influence, but he saw them, their fascist government, as just being two fractions of German government that were kind of like at each other's throats, the way that the left wing and the right wing of the United States is, of Canada is, and of all these other places. He just saw it as normal parts of two different viewpoints having a battle over things. He didn't understand that what he was actually watching was the beginning of World War II. And so I think that it's really interesting because he uses that to also have a parody of a warning where he's saying, like, people, this was normal at different parts of history. Being gay and queer was normal at different parts of history. This was normal, and just who's in power decides what is normal. And he's trying to remind you that you're not making decisions on what's good and bad and what's decent and indecent all on your own. Your government is telling you, your shows are telling you, your consciousness together is telling you, and he's telling you that the people in power, the winners, the victors, don't only just write history. The people who are current power decide who is going to make history.
Damn, that's well spoken.
I think that it was so important to remember that, because that's how he's teaching you this. And when he tells us this, then you get to be like, okay, who do we want to be getting to be told about in history? Who do we want to get to create history? And it is such a warning shot across the bow, but it's also a great way of us hearing in this piece who's in charge and how are they taking down, and how are Luffy and the Straw Hats going to pull people in to pull down the tyranny that he is showing us how strong and how deadly and how terrible they are through this. Okay, we can't go out of this without mentioning going back into a more lightly manga thing. Yep. So this is what I'm saying, that at the same time all this is happening, at the same time as he's making all these freaking amazing connections, he also just has Bantu say, no, I'm going to up Luffy's percentage ability of survival, and takes his ass over to the door and just screams, Granberry! 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 Mugitwa! For hours on end. You can do this, Luffy. I'm here with you, Luffy. You've got this, Luffy.
Granberry,
you have got to be kidding me. And so for hours, you've got Bon Clay giving up all his time to just make sure that Luffy pulls through. I can't be here with you. I can't stand with you, but I can definitely talk you through this and give you love. Come on. Come on.
Yep.
Unbelievable. I just was like, oh, I love this man so much. I'm so angry about that.
About what? Oh, yeah, what happens to our good friend.
Yes.
Oh.
It's so wrong. Why does he hate people so much where he keeps making us cry and cry? And then I cry online and people are like, there she goes again.
Guys, I hate to keep it going. I care about politics. It's a thing I care about, political theory, so I keep doing this. People are like, Luffy's not a terrorist, he's a freedom fighter. Guys, those words have the literal same definition. They have the literal same definition. The difference is one's a good guy and one's a bad guy. That's it. They are literally the same word. Freedom fighter and terrorist are the same word. Don't split hairs.
But good and bad guy, this is what the other thing that we were talking about in this who's in charge.
Yep.
Because if you I taught some kids from South Africa, and they would talk to me about the terrorists who would plant bombs and stuff in South Africa. And I was like, who are these terrorists? Nelson Mandela and his people.
Yep.
And so who is a terrorist and who's not a terrorist is you just got to figure out which side you're on, and then you'll know who's the good and bad boy, depending
exactly.
upon
The
what
freedom
you
fighter's the
believe.
terrorist you like. The terrorist is the terrorist you don't like.
Yeah.
Luffy is if you go by
Okay.
the definition, a terrorist. It's just like, you don't like that word because it's a bad guy word.
Yeah, it is a bad guy word. Okay, ready? Now off you go into the valley of death. Oh, god damn. Only Oda, though, like, it's upsetting for me because we've had this conversation about the way that he draws women and the way that he thinks about women and how it will change. I think I'd like to see it change. And some people said that they feel it has, that as his daughters have grown up, that his way of seeing women has changed and deepened and enriched. And I would like to think that is true, and I'm hoping to see it because he has such an ability to look at and champion, like, he is a champion of queer people. There's no doubt. I don't know why we even have to talk about it. Like, people are like, is this a queer positive? Obviously it's queer positive. So he's phenomenal at making these things. He has a hormone fruit, for God's sake, that actually transforms people's sexuality. Once somebody has a hormone devil fruit, the conversation about whether he's queer positive is dead. You don't need to have that anymore. You can just shut up.
Yeah.
He is being positive. God's sakes, people. And then here is the thing. So what was it? You would know because you stand for Blackbeard.
Oh yeah, my man. Kicks ass.
What is it that Blackbeard says?
This new era they keep rambling on and on about is a load of crap. The era when pirates dream of treasure will come to an end? Yeah, right!
What are you talking about?
The dreams of pirates will never end!
That's identical to what Ivan is saying here. Miracles only happen to those who never give up. Never underestimate the power of miracles. Those are identical.
Yep.
Those are identical sentiment. Mama, what do you think of Ivan Chan's reaction to learning that Luffy? Okay,
It's
yeah.
so funny.
I'm gonna
We
get
were
there.
on
I
call when
promise.
that happened.
It was so great because he just wait. I'm just gonna read this first, and then we're gonna forever put away the conversation about whether Oda stands for queer folk. In short, I ate the horm fruit. Now I can freely manipulate hormones at will. Gender, body, temperature, pigmentation, growth, excitement. I am the engineer of the human body who can alter people from the inside out. We're done now. He clearly is just queer positive, move on. He says, and the woman became men. That's kind of like the miracles we do here. You know what? Why do people need to have this argument?
Hello.
Okay, so we were on the phone together, and Drock is like, what do you think about Ivan finding out about Luffy being...
Well, I was like, I specifically said it's important that, I think it says something that Iva was inspired by the loyalty people had to Luffy before he knew who Luffy's dad was, and you were like, oh, does he not know? And then you flipped to his explanation where he's like, yes, when Dragon's fleet of revolutionaries sail the world, I will be freed and go with them. I've been biding my time. And Luffy's like, oh, you mean my dad? You were reading this while we were on the phone. I actually said it slightly too early.
Yeah, you said it literally a page early, and Iva says, even if I escaped, he goes, oh, you mean my dad? That's right. When your dad mobilizes his army, I will escape to the outside world and throw myself into the affairs of the world once more. If I escape now, and then it goes, your dad.
And the best part for me was you went, oh, you were wrong. He did know who his dad was. And I was like, flip the page. Make sure you flip the page.
It was so good. Don't talk crazy. Your dragon's son? He has a son? That makes it even more believable. He's a total rookie pirate. Doesn't seem like somebody blah, 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 and goes on. And then we find this out. And that would explain his almost superhuman vitality. He may be telling the truth. Where are you from? The East Blue. I knew it. Dragon, you're always staring off in that direction whenever you walk out here. I do? How strange. I wasn't aware of it. It's like a homing instinct of an animal. Does your homeland lie in that direction? Do you have family back in the Eastern Sea? Mind your own business, Iva.
Love that.
Yes. I can't wait for Dragon to turn into a dragon and one day come into a scene and just F some people up who are hurting Luffy.
All right. Looking forward to it.
I'm just... Put that in my predictions, would you?
That Dragon will turn into a dragon and hurt some people who are attacking Luffy?
Yeah.
All right. So now that Aiva's inspired, because this is Dragon's son, they are ready to charge down, straight down with Inazuma's scissors to go save Ace.
Inazuma's scissors are incredible. Thanks, Luz. Inazuma's scissors, I would take that.
That's a good devil fruit.
A straw hat, so that's him. He really came. He penetrated the impregnable prison. I'm not gonna lie. That's a sexual translation.
What? No,
there.
I think that's just a normal phrasing that normal people would say.
He penetrated the impregnable prison all the way down to level 6. Are you kidding me?
That's just a normal phrasing.
I'm sorry, that line was done badly. Anyway, let's move on. Let's keep listening to old Jim. Are you Straw Hat Luffy? Go after him. Hurry, they just put Ace on the elevator. Who are you? Hurry up, you may still be able to save him. So immediately, old Jim doesn't even try to save himself or get out. He's just like, get the hell out of here and go save them. And old Jim only gets saved when they run into obstacles and he gets let out. So I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. He's such a good person. Old Jim, come on. And then what to our wondering eyes should appear?
Crocodile!
久しぶりだな麦わら
Crocodile face. Not gonna lie though, Crocodile face makes a prison outfit look good. And Sir Crocodile, the former warlord of the sea and the president of the Baroque Works, comes out of the thing and fights with Luffy. And so then they let out old Jim, and old Jim is like, let me fight with you. Oh, Deathwink, by the way, is incredible. And I've decided I love the hormone fruit, and I'm here for it.
It's a good fucking fruit.
Because I think people underestimate it and only think about it from a trans side. And I think it's really important to think about the fact that every single thing that happens inside of a body only happens because of hormonal changes.
I saw someone recently say, like, could you turn yourself into a giant? Like, could you just be in One Piece? Could the fruit turn you into a giant?
Yes. Everything, because you would just turn on the pituitary gland at a higher level.
Yep.
Everything that happens inside of a body happens because of hormones. Everyone is like, oh, you're hormonal. You're all hormonal. The world is hormonal, you boneheads. Hormones are in charge of everything. Hormones are what makes the body go round.
Oh, so
they make
true.
all the decisions. The panel that I also really wanted to do was the "We Have to Hurry, I Won't Let You Harm Whitebeard Crocodile," where all of them are standing together, and you've got the great big Ivan in the background. Oh God, this is such a good arc. This arc,
it's so stellar.
Arc. I love it so much. When they use the crab clipper to clip the stairs and turn it into a coil that comes down. Everything in this is so good. And then we meet this butthead, tell Magellan I'm willing to help. And I can't believe how well Oda did at creating a symbol that looks like a Nazi symbol out of the Impel down words. And he showed how he did it in an SBS. And I was just like, I see what you did, and I am awed by it. Fishman Karate, question.
Yeah.
Is Fishman Karate similar to the things that they are learning in CP9?
It is another martial art. It affects water, so the reason it can hurt Luffy, and this happened before with Arlong, is because it affects the water within a body.
Okay, that makes sense. I was so happy for Mr. 3, because can you remember when I hated his stupid wax fruit so much?
And here he is
I
being
was so happy
such a teammate
for Mr. 3 that he put up a great big wall for all of the poison to get hit on, and then made Luffy feet and hands that Luffy could kick some ass with that wouldn't get immediately rocked by the poison. I was like, Mr. 3, aww,
he's doing it.
You needed that, friend. And it really does help you. And then, remember when I was so excited that Ace would get out of the prison? Oh, God, I can't even look at this page.
Ace
know
is causing you some distress, huh?
I can't even look at this page. Take a good look at the sky. Once you're on top of the execution platform and your shackles have been locked, you'll never see it again. No. Okay, I'm done now.
Okay.
I'm not done.
You got out of the prison. Yay!
You're the worst. Here is when I was like, what? What the shit's going on? Why am I seeing a big black hole? Oh my fucking god. Zay! Damn it.
Yeah, motherfucker, he here. Mama Drock was wondering why this man cares so much about being a warlord, and also wondered, how does he think he's gonna stack up in the world when he doesn't have a powerful crew? Here we go! 2 birds, 1 Blackbeard.
And it's funny because I said to you, okay, no, he doesn't have enough of a crew. There's nothing he's going to do. Blah. I hope he gets a better ship now, too. Can we just put it out there that I no longer want you to have an effing log ship when you have like a crew of people from Impel down? It is time to level up. Come on, Teach, level up. Watching Teach move through. Oh, you know what's also really, really important about this, though? Teach went out into the world.
Yep.
Killed something that he was a blood brother with,
Yep.
Stole the devil fruit,
Yep.
Ate it, sold out Ace
Yep.
in order to become one of the 7 warlords, all so that he could get to Impel down.
Well, so the fruit was separate, but turning Ace in, or Luffy, was just to become a warlord, just so that he could get into Impel down and break people out.
Meanwhile, Luffy hid under the dress of Boa and walked in.
And here's what I love about them, and here's when people said Blackbeard got lucky, why I want to disagree, and this is why when people are like, I bet you want Blackbeard to kill Luffy. No, I want Luffy to die at the end. I think the series is better thematically. I think the symbolic writing is stronger if Luffy dies. I want Luffy to destroy Blackbeard. I want Blackbeard to be the second strongest pirate in the world. I want Luffy to be the only person who can stop him, because he is everything Luffy is with one exception, and that is he is pragmatic instead of caring about people. He sees people for their utility and he values them for it, and he's not cruel. He won't go out of his way to hurt someone just for the fun of it, but he will only accept someone on his crew if there's utility to it. And here's why I don't think he's any luckier than Luffy, right? He comes in with the plan, the goal, the ambition to free people and make a strong crew, okay? Luffy comes in caring about people, wanting to save his brother, wanting to make friends. Luffy has an in because of his friendship with Boa. Blackbeard has an in because of his plotting and planning, all right? You with me so far? Luffy gets doused in poison by Magellan. Magellan, such a fucking baller. He doesn't listen to a monologue. He doesn't care about drama. He just swamps both of them immediately. He attacks before they have a chance to even prepare. He takes the element of surprise, goes for them before they can think about his powers, not even have a chance. Both of them are poisoned. Luffy survives because he has inspired friendship and loyalty in the people around him. They want to go out of their way to save him. Blackbeard survives because he has created an opportunity for another opportunist and pragmatist to use him for a practical benefit. They are exactly saved by exactly what makes them the 2 contenders for King of the Pirates.
I do agree with that. But what I like about the way they've done it is Luffy's way in is the same way that Luffy does everything. Get to Eni's lobby, everyone's making a plan, Luffy's already running it.
Yep.
Get to the place inside of Impel Down where there's a hole and everyone's talking about how to do it, Luffy jumps in. So Luffy gets into Impel Down in the same way that he does everything.
Yep.
And then Blackbeard slowly works through levels of different things until finally he gets himself in a position where he can be in it. And I really love it that they both end up in the same place. They both end up doing the same things, except for Luffy is doing it for love and friendship, and Blackbeard is doing it for self.
For personal ambition and pragmatism. And one is going in with as little plan as he can, and one is planning as much as possible. But both of them are brave. They'll take on anything. They'll do what they want, and they have a dream. And I love the parallel. And it's why Luffy does need to win, because he needs to prove that the right way to be is to care about people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So Blackbeard is obviously going to put in, is it Shiryu of the Rain?
Shiryu of the Rain. Which means Death Dragon.
He has the name of Ryu, Death Dragon, yeah. And then meanwhile, Luffy, Leroy Jenkins is asked through Impel down. Leroy Jenkins! That's Luffy's
Blackbeard's
whole feeling.
Blackbeard's plan was in theory bad because he didn't account for Magellan, but the vibe I get from that is I don't think anyone knows Magellan's a big deal or is there or what his powers are. I genuinely think the world at large has no idea anything about Magellan.
Yeah, I'm very excited to find Shiryu of the Rain to be on Blackbeard's crew. I think they fit each other very well until one of them kills the other one. Because it would be hard to imagine Shiryu of the Rain allowing himself to be a number 2. Drock has this idea that one day Blackbeard will pull out a gun and just shoot Luffy.
The reason I think he's going to shoot Blackbeard or shoot Luffy one day is because Luffy's being bulletproof is something we think of as so key to his character, and I think when you want to set up the big bad villain, you need to subvert our expectations and make us really feel that this is different, and nothing would do that more than Luffy getting a gunshot wound. Like, I truly think Crocodile Dundee, I truly think nothing, I don't think it needs to be a darkness bullet. I think man walks around with bullets in his guns in his pants. I think it's as simple as sucks up Luffy, turns off his powers, no longer rubber, pulls out a gun, shoots him.
Oh, wait a minute. He means sucks up Luffy's devil fruit. Yep. Luffy is no longer rubber.
Yep. Shoots him with a gun.
Shoots him.
And I think nothing would make us feel more like this is different than anything we've seen before than Luffy being shot. So I think it's going to happen. I don't think it needs to be a sea stone bullet. I don't think it needs to because he can turn off devil fruits. He grabs Luffy, turns off his devil fruit.
He steals devil fruits.
Yeah. He turns off his devil fruit, shoots him with a gun, and I think it doesn't need to be sea stone, and we just go, holy fuck, Luffy just got shot. Luffy being, I don't think he would die from it. No.
Well, most
no. Luffy
people
doesn't die from it.
We will all go, yep, because we already knew.
True. Look, I'll go, fuck yeah.
Also, everybody else is kind of hiding, making their way through, having all these different big fights. Blackbeard just comes in and is like, walk, 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 open a hole, suck you down into hell, walk, walk, walk. Like, he just is so casual about it. You must be Blackbeard, Marshall D. Teach. Zeha, that's right, and who are you? And that's his future crewmate for sure. You know what I really enjoy is this. You remember before? Hey, do you remember back in the olden days when I was talking about Cabaret?
Yeah.
And the idea of the Nazi party being represented by the people within this prison at Impel Down, but is actually a larger picture of fascism with the dragon government?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I remember that.
Okay. So then the jerky dude who's trying to take over is you're nothing but pirates and rebels who became notorious for your deeds.
As long as scum like you are free to terrorize the seas, decent people can't even sleep at night because they're worried about losing their loved ones. This jail was built to protect them. Locking up evil criminals like you is the only way to give them some peace of mind. This fortress is the floodgate of hell, and I won't let the world drown in terror by letting prisoners break free. So like I already said, you won't take a single step!
So this is really important because he is talking about the difference between decency and indecency. What is good and what is bad. And so when I read this, I was like, that's the absolute proof that that's how it was intended by Oda, because the jailer feels like they know who is decent and who is indecent, and people who fall into categories like our main man on screen right now. And so when you are looking at this, he's telling Luffy, this place was built so that we could put away people that the government has determined are not decent people. So they don't just like say innocent. It's not just about being innocent, because it is. He says innocent people, but what is innocence? Well, innocence is being decent, because the people aren't innocent. They fornicate, they drink, they fight, they spit, they hurt each other. So it's not like they're quote unquote innocent. The people of the world of One Piece aren't all walking around as wandering whisper willows being like, oh, puppy, let me pet it. What a beautiful day, mama. Let's go for a picnic, shall we? There is no innocence in that way, in the way that you would normally see innocence. So for him, innocence means decency, and decency means following the ways of the dragon people, which means things like we don't have people who are dressing like this person and acting in this way, and we don't have this. So they are choosing what is decent and indecent, and I think that is an excellent piece of proof that is exactly like fascism, where fascists decide abortion is indecent. Drinking, indecent, short skirts, indecent. So fascism works not just on the level of the big government, like that's what everybody likes to think. Fascism is the ultimate in your daily personal life, deciding what is decent and indecent. So decency is a really important word here historically, because all throughout history, whenever one group is trying to oppress people in a moral value, they always call it decency in some way. No matter how you translate it, it always translates in kind of this same genre. So I thought that was a really important phraseology. And so it's, for me, I thought this was really, really fascinating, because it's the government right now is deciding what it looks like to be indecent. And so now I'm like, so what is the truth? We're gonna get there. I'm gonna figure out the 100 missing years, and I'm going to put it in skywriting.
Damn, you're gonna figure out the 100 missing years all on your own?
Why not?
All right.
I really love the standing of Blackbeard and Luffy, where Blackbeard recognizes who Luffy is because he knows him, and Luffy for the first time understands who Blackbeard actually is, and that he was the one that responsible for getting his brother taken away, etc., etc. And where he has to make an actual freaking decision on whether or not he's going to stop and take retribution, which would be really stupid. He's not ready for it. But the other funny thing is, after first meeting you, I soon found out, blah, blah, blah. Blackbeard could just take him down right now in the prison. So why doesn't he?
Because he's a pragmatist, and he's always measuring the pros and cons of what he does. And he goes, look, kid, I have nothing to gain from fighting you. I don't care.
Exactly. But it's not that I have nothing to gain from fighting you, because if he just had nothing to gain, he would still probably dump him into a hole. But he has something to lose, time.
Exactly.
He knows that he's looking for certain people in this prison. He needs to have a certain amount of time to do it. He still wants to get out and go out and live and put things together so he can have his crew. He's gone through a lot of work to get here. So it's not pragmatic to stop and have a fight with somebody that, even if you're going to win, you know is going to take some of your precious time. Mm-hmm. So I think that is really important, because some people might be like, well, why didn't you just kill him then? Because it wasn't the right time. If he had just killed him then he would have wasted the time that he needs to do the job he came to do there.
Exactly. He has an agenda. He has a plan.
Just killed him. Exactly. If he could have killed him and it wouldn't have taken any of his time, I guarantee you he would, because he's pragmatic, and he would have said, I'm definitely going to have to deal with this little shit in the future, since he knows that I took his brother off. Mm-hmm. Also adore that, of course, who gets in front of Luffy? That's right, it's old Jim. Old Jim, I love you.
Old Jim is here to help. Luffy.
Old Jim is always here to help. Such a good kid. He's such a good kid. I'm going to put old Jim on my team. I don't know why, but watching Buggy and Mr. 3 escape was so amazing for me. I was so happy that they got to escape. Like, more than so many people, they fought really hard, and they're just not that special in comparison to some of the people who are within this arc.
They're not weak, but they're not like Crocodile and Jinbei levels of strong.
Exactly. So watching them come out, and they're both like, they're hardened criminals, but they're not like the other people. I just felt like, yes, it felt so good. I adore a thick layer of makeup protecting Ivan from being melted. Very funny. God, the fights in here, the battles, one after another at a breakneck pace that makes you just like, it was so addicting. That person is right. They just had it so right.
But how are they going to manage to escape?
God. This escaping is one of the crueler things that has been done. I I don't want to always stop and do this, but because our crew is all over the world, I feel like I need to take a little moment. Fish, in the Robin, they do such terrible things. The final volume, the rebel army saves the slaves. I love that the rebel army is saving the slaves.
And it means Robin gets to
I
meet
love that for
revolutionaries.
us. But I don't know, and someone does Robin meet Dragon. We don't see that here, but what we do know is you start to wonder whether or not the rebel army is going to become part of the fight that's going to take place, because he must know that his son is up for execution. So is he going to be there? I say yes. We're going to have factions of the rebel army show up at the fight.
All right,
for
a prediction.
sure.
The revolutionaries are going to show up. Does Iva count? Technically a
think it'll-
revolutionary, and he's on his way.
No, that's cheating. I already knew that. I think, I wonder if Robin will make it. Like, you feel like the Straw Hats need to be there, so I don't know how, but each one of them needs to get there because they have to. Can you imagine if the Straw Hats weren't at the fight?
This is a coin flip decision. Do you think they're going to be there or not?
The Straw Hats are going to be there, and here's why.
Okay.
Luffy's going to lose his brother, and we're going to need the Straw Hats there to pull him back up from the ground.
All right. Prediction has been made.
Because Luffy is going to be crushed. So who can get there in time? There's some are in the East Blue right now, right?
Yeah. So it'd be hard for them to get there. Possible, hard.
I don't know if it's possible or not because it took us a lot to get us here, right? But can they go skywards and then down? Because we know that air isn't a problem.
I think Zoro's on the Grand Line, right?
Yeah, he is, and there's somebody else as well. And Nami can't pick them up. I do keep wondering because Ace is called a port key, and so I keep wondering if Ace is able to bring people to Luffy or take Luffy away from things. I don't know how Ace is going to use the ability of port key, but I feel like that has to happen before he dies. Old Jim going off into the ocean, doing the calling of the whale sharks. Beautiful. Because Magellan, we cannot overestimate how creepy, strong, and horrible that dude is.
Magellan is fucking terrifying.
He freaks the living crap out of me. And so for them to make it all the way to the end and then be stuck there at the water, and you're like, okay, what the living hell? I knew that there was going to be some kind of amazing fishmen, people coming out of the water. Like, it made sense. But I was like, but how are they going to get on? And I should have known because I've met this kid named Oda who likes to do things in a very terrible way. Although, can we just, let's take a second to admire the smiles on the whale sharks' faces.
They're very cute little buddies.
Such cute little buds. And I like for me that they're not going to end up in the fight. Because for a while I was worried they were. And I was like, no, not whale sharks. They're too cool. But instead, what does Oda do? Oda does this neat thing where he decides to kill number 2.
Yeah.
So all our friends get onto the boat. All the whale sharks bring them out. They cross them over to the boat. You're like, oh my God, how are they going to get out of the gate? And you're thinking to yourself like, oh, there's going to be some cool thing. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Did I see number 2? And then I was like, I didn't. And I go back and I look again. And then they go into the room and we see Magellan acting in a very non-Magellan way. And I was like, oh my God. Now, Apollo, I'm hoping no body, no death. Like, in my perfect world, I would say that we would get our number 2 back. I don't know how. I had this one moment where I thought to myself, well, Blackbeard comes back up and then swamps over Magellan. I don't know.
If Blackbeard happened to run into Mr. 2, you know he'd be like, hey, if you'll join my crew, I'll save you. If he could fight Magellan now that he knows his powers, who's to say?
Yeah.
But that would require him actually running into him.
Whereas I think that the last time I looked, he was down on the bottom, right? So not fully possible. Okay, but the problem is what Otis said is this hasn't been sad enough since we're off to save Ace from execution and we're not gonna do it. If you're there, answer me, Bon. Bon, Big Brother Bon, speak to us. Bon, Bon, the gates are about to close. We're going now. Thank you, Brother Bon. Strawboy, go save your brother.
Oh, that's so sad.
God.
It's not happy.
Oh my God. If it weren't for him, we'd be swimming with the fishes right now. The flower of friendship can bloom even in hell. And now the petals of that flower will be scattered upon the rolling bosom of the sea. And one day I will make that flower bloom again.
Swans never die and never say goodbye.
Any last words? May we meet again as soon as possible. God dang, that's
I think I'd be
crushing
crying
my
right now if
soul.
dogs hadn't shown up.
God.
It's not.
I was just sitting here.
It's a bit brutal.
God damn.
Yeah.
God. Oh, so we find out all the things about Buggy and how they give him a much bigger and a very unwarranted reward for him now because they're like, oh, you were on this crew and you did this and you're so strong. And then I was loving Buggy until this moment. And then he became, you know what? Actually, Buggy is the Usopp of this straw
Of the temporary Straw Hats.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Of the temporary Straw Hats, Buggy is the Usopp character.
Oh my God, you're right.
And then Luffy, I'm gonna save Ace. Just watch. It'll be easy as potatoes. Don't you mean pie, Straw Hat? You in the mood to bake potatoes or something?
It's a good bit.
Even in the midst of all of this terribleness, we have great jokes taking place. And then it ends in the most beautiful way. Go ahead.
I've talked to you about this, how you are so convinced Ace is going to die, but if you were back in the day, you would be seen as a crazy person for saying that because everyone was like, yeah, we're going to save Ace. And everyone who said otherwise, people were like, you think they'd kill Ace in One Piece? Well, that's what you think.
Navy headquarters at noon. He is. 3 hours until execution. We will now escort the condemned to the execution platform. Up the stairs. And then he goes through his life with Luffy. Listen, Luffy, we have to live our life without regrets. Someday we're going to go to sea and live however we want. A life of true freedom. It says that over Ace's head while he's shackled on two sides by 2 armed guards and is being led out to his execution in a flashback. Oh, curse you, Oda.
Should we finally do our plug and closing segments?
Oh, I'm good at closing segments and plugs. Let me start with the plug. I got it. Hey, YouTube. Press the like button, I guess. Or whatever.
Anything else?
Don't. Maybe subscribe. Or, don't.
Yeah. All right, top 5 characters.
Here we go. How to make a top 5 character?
Well, first, do you want to do Luffy tier list? Where our boy goes?
Luffy. S tier.
Wait, S, or are you gonna open up the forbidden S+? Because you can only put like 2 or 3 Luffys ever in S+.
Yeah, I know. We talked about it. This is an S+. Yeah.
You have an S+ Luffy.
No, not an SS. We're not doing a double S. We are not.
This is the
fascist.
worst arc to do a double S in, but that does kind of make it funny if we were going to.
Fine. He's SS.
SS tier Luffy.
SS. Yay!
Oh.
Oh, God, this is going to be so hard for me. Here we go.
Here we go.
Number 1. Straight to the top of the charts. Bon-chan.
Fair. Honestly, who else is it going to be?
No. Man gave up his life to get people through that goddamn gate. Number 2, stood outside of Luffy's room and got everyone else to stand there crying and screaming for him to have Luffy survive.
Yep.
Bon-chan.
Bon-chan number 1. No
Boom.
doubt. 100%.
Next person is number 2. Ivan.
Yeah, that's fair. The fucking queers out here winning.
Yeah. No, that's true, actually. Number 5. Buggy.
Buggy D Clown.
Buggy.
Fair.
Number 3. Old Jim.
We got old Jim. He's here, ladies and gentlemen.
He's number 3. And number 4. Actually, can I put Buggy at number 5 with my great good friend number 3? Because they're a team.
No, they should be
became a
together.
little
They should be
package.
together for sure.
Yeah,
They were buddies.
They're a little package. So let's put number 3 with Buggy so that they can hold hands and make cool hairdos because they both have a tendency to do some shit with their hair. And number 4. Everyone in the comments, you forgot Nami.
Guys.
Cheeky buggers. Cheeky buggers. Blackbeard is number 4.
Yeah, fair. I understand it being a hesitant, but like, it adds a lot of flair and drama that he shows up.
I do not want it to be Blackbeard. Yeah, I know people. Boa's number 1 in the other one.
Yeah,
She's
Boa's
got
number
it.
1.
But
look, Boa was here.
and she's in the beginning. But
look,
Blackbeard, it was almost Magellan in there. But when I thought about who I liked and then who gave me the most, it was Blackbeard.
I think his appearance here highlights something I love about Blackbeard, which is every time he's not a villain. Someone said this earlier. He's not a villain who's indestructible, who shows up and can't take damage. And you're like, oh my God, how can we beat him? He gets fucking rocked every time he fights someone. He takes at least one big hit and is like, that hurt like hell. Anyways, and then crushes them.
Oh, the worst character of the arc.
Right, we're doing the worst character of the arc now.
As far as who sucks the most and I don't like.
I think you can treat this just like favorites, however you want, and you'll change the bar whenever you feel like it needs to be.
You know what? I really appreciate that because that's how I like things.
It is.
However I want. The person I liked the least in Impel Down, who I was like, I could do without you, was the dominatrix.
Sadie? Someone actually suggested that earlier. Sadie, sorry, you win the coveted spot of worst. We both kind of like Hannibal. Like, we both found him really entertaining. We didn't talk about him today at all.
Yeah, we really did. Did I want to? No.
Yeah, I just like, he's kind of fun.
He's fine. There was a really great moment too between Magellan and Hannibal where he says, don't die, you're the only one who could take this on or something.
You're the only one who could run this prison in my absence.
Exactly. And I was like, oh, that's weirdly...
Thank you guys for being here. This is so much fun. I am so glad we're getting to the big parts of One Piece. I'm really happy you loved Impel Down so much because it plays into a lot of what you've been talking
It's my
about.
favorite arc now, right now. Yeah.
Why can I hear me? Are you there? Madre? I guess she's gone? Alright, well, she left us early. This is so much fun, everybody. I had a blast. I love this section of the story. I'm so happy Mama has been. You guys have been amazing. You've been such an incredible community in chat, and I've been so grateful to have you.
I don't know why, but I can't hear you.
Well, I can hear you again. Oh my God, I pressed a mute button. Hi. Chat could hear me, but you couldn't. We're saying goodbye. Are you there?
I'm here.
Say goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Everybody, until next time, it's been lovely talking to you.